Good evening, Patrick here, Eight Questions with, and here on a very chilly southeastern Michigan night, um, but a perfect night to talk music, and that's what we're going to be doing the next couple of nights. We're going to be talking with the band Carry the Nine tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll speak with a singer-songwriter Jenna Lewis. So I'm pretty excited for tonight because this is going to be fun. Um, uh, We got Carry the Nine from California. I was looking at some of the influences that they had, and super stoked to see there's some bands that they looked up to that yours truly still had a little bit of fun with. Still out there. Um, Good Riddance, which I actually booked Good Riddance, and actually did a show with No Use for a Name. That's right. Uh, Rory and the Boys. Great band, very nice people. Good Riddance. Back when they started, I think they were still based in Arizona. They were still based in Arizona. But both bands have tremendous pedigrees, and I can definitely see how they can inspire a lot of young talent. I listened to Carry the Nine. They have a couple of videos out on their YouTube channel, and yeah, very hardworking, very talented too. A couple of songs they played. I'm sitting there looking at them, and I'm listening to them rock and rolling. And the only thing I could think of was, man, they're doing this without any monitors. There's no monitors in front of them. That's hard. That is really hard. Now I do know they do have earpieces now. You put earpieces in the ear. Hey, what's going on, Corey? I do know that some bands have earpieces that go in the ear and act as monitors. I'm not sure exactly how much those things run. It all depends, I guess, on personal preference. I mean, I still see bands today. They still play with the old front line. They still play with the line in front of them. Um, so, but there's four members in the band: Kevin, Rich, Sean, and Jose. So we're gonna be chewing the fat with those guys. Maybe get a song or two out of them. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe. And then we'll talking about how their history, how they came together, and they seem extremely tight. So I think they have been together for quite a while. Um, and It was really cool too. It was this not the only music that I got to do today. I actually got to call San Francisco and talk to the lovely Connie Champagne, which I'm really working hard on trying to get her to come onto the show. Connie Champagne is a tremendous talent. Um, has a tremendous voice, and I got to watch her a few years ago, a few years ago, and it was good talking to her today. And I told her how much her music meant to me, and hopefully by this weekend we're gonna have a show locked in with Connie Champagne. And if that happens, we're also gonna be back one of our former guests, Nikki Bucati will be here with us, and because I want her to co-host with me for that one. So, yeah, we're starting to work on January. We're starting to work on January here on the show. A little sluggish right off the bat, but it's Christmas. Everybody's worried about Christmas and whatnot. So it's been a little bit tough dragging some dates out, but we'll get it cracking. All right. Yes, it is Tuesday. Anthony says here. See, Anthony's here from tired of work. He's going to the library. Yes, today was Library Day here for me as well. And we kept it rolling. I keep thinking that our good weeks in a row run is going to end, and no, we actually had a really another strong week. Um, I got some books this time, but I got some. As far as the movies go, I got a steel book of the first season of Game of Thrones. I got the Game of Thrones first season of Steelbook. I already have it. I already have the season, but not on Steelbook. Um, and then I got some music. Last week I got some music DVDs, and they had a few more today. So I got two. I got Ben Fold Fives back in the day, and I also got a album from a video album from Primus from 2004. And that's going to be fun. That's actually probably what I'm going to be listening to tomorrow when I clean up my house. I think I'll just crank that puppy up and get to work. So, and then we also got some TV series as well. So overall, it was another fine week at the library. Not very many people either. People definitely were out and about, I think. But it was really interesting listening to my co-librarian, so to speak. Um, what they were talking about how completely insanely expensive it is to go out to eat. Um, they say that the portions are much smaller, the prices are much higher, the service is much poor. Um, so yeah, interesting, isn't it? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't go to restaurants myself. In fact, that'd be one of the questions I was going to be asking the boys today, because believe it or not, when you go on the road as a touring band, that is actually one of the things that is very important is where they eat. Because for the most part, a lot of these bands are on the road. Oh, man, it's rough. It's rough because they don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of money, and and now being so expensive. Brother Max is in the house. What's going on, Brother Max? Um, and so you gotta be very careful. I mean, this is even before this back when I was talent buying, but I'm sure it's even worse now as far as that goes. A lot of restaurants, a lot of fast food places now they have loyalty points where you could actually, you know, maybe not pay for the full price for their meal and what have you. So that might come into play and help out. But back in the late '90s and '80s, when bands would come in to play, unsigned bands would come in and play. It was rough. They had to find it, nearest where's the nearest fast food, and it was rough. I've seen bands that have been literally shaking with hunger, and they have money. They have money, but they owe it to the record company. And I overheard one girl. She mentioned how they had to shoplift. They shoplifted food just to keep going, even though they had the money for the food, but they couldn't take it. They couldn't touch it. Um, I did a rare thing that time, uh, and that is the boys want to know if this is a PG show. Hell to the fuck no. You can curse unless you need it to be a PG-13 show. If you need it to be a PG-13 show, we can make it that. That's no problem. So if that's the case, if you feel like being a little frosty, you're more than welcome to. Um, uh, yeah. So, but again, if you do need it to be PG-13, as in your mom and dad are going to come in here and listen to us talk, we could definitely do that. We could definitely make it so that PG-13 is in play. But overall, we do not censor here on Eight Questions with. Um, yeah, one of the rare things I did with the band that came in there was shaking. Um, not because I had a lot of money myself, but I ended up buying their dinner. Um, they're really nice people. They had already played the show. They already played Marsugi's once, and then they came back for another shot, and they're touring on their new record. And I just thinking of how completely difficult that would be to have the money for food, but not be able to touch it because you owe it to somebody else. All right, the doorbell has rang. 5 minutes early. But you know what that means? That means whenever we get our guests here, we get them on stage because we want to start talking. So that's what we're going to do. So put your hands together, share us out, and welcome in Carry the Nine. And here we go. Oh, okay. So this is a PG-13 show. I already know that.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Not a problem. We can do PG-13. I heard the little one chirping. I heard the little one chirping and going like, "Yep, we're good. We can make we could even make it a PG."
We're all good. You don't have to do that for us. I just wasn't sure if there was rules or anything. We're all good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming. This is gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, I was like when I asked you guys to come and do the show, and I was like I wanted to get a little bit more of your background, and a little bit more of your influence. Like how do you ask a band about their influence without asking the band about the influence? Because it's one of the most horriest questions you can ask in music. What or movies? It's like, who inspired you? And it's like you try to get around that if you possibly can. But I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that because you guys popped up and said "Good Riddance" and "No Use for a Name." So I was like, well, we're gonna be best friends.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's all the stuff we grew up on, all that 90s skate punk kind of stuff. So that's when we were all in high school and what we grew up on. So, but what I've always listened to, so it's kind of where we ended up.
Man, so many great bands in the 90s, though, right? I mean, so many. Sheesh, don't get me started. What I probably didn't tell you was that I was a talent buyer for clubs for 10 years in California.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
So I got to see that up close and personal. And right before you got here, I was commenting about I go out every Tuesday to a local library, and the people there, they were resellers, and they were talking about how expensive it was to eat out now. And and I got to thinking about that because that was a big issue back for touring bands back when I was working. Was bands would come in there, unload their stuff, and then they want to know where the nearest place to eat at, and the cheapest place, and then sometimes they would try to say the cheapest and the healthiest place to eat.
Kind of mutually exclusive.
Yeah. How important is it for you guys as a band? That was a weird question to start off with, right? But let's talk a little bit about the cuisine on the road. Now, do you guys have a trailer and a van, or do you just have a van?
We're still in the weekend warrior thing, so we just kind of drive to the shows. A lot of times it's separate cars. Even we're not quite there. The challenge we have is we're all I don't want to say old, but we're all older with families and full-time jobs and everything. So playing shows is like when we can and when everyone's available. And so I mean, generally most of the shows we played are within 3 or 4 hours of us, where we can kind of like drive there and once in a while spend the night, but not really too often.
Right. Now,
but I mean, some of us are healthier than others. I think Kevin's a little more probably pays attention. I'm more just like, oh, McDonald's on the way, whatever.
Now, what city are you guys based out of?
That's a complicated question.
Another one. Well, I guess we say Ventura only because that's where I live, and Sean and I started this band. It was never really agreed on, but that's what we use, and I'm actually down to change that because we do live in 4 separate cities. So that's the interesting part about this. But as of now, it's Ventura.
What's the largest? I mean, can you just claim like a county? Because we can't even.
We're 3 counties.
Yeah, you're in Ventura County, Orange County, and what else?
Santa Barbara County.
Santa Barbara. Wow, Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
You know what though? Now Santa Barbara back in the day did not have what most of the time. A lot of the bands they would end up right there, Orange County, as far as they would go in order to come back and play all the venues in Southern Cal, SoCal. Didn't hear too much. Didn't hear too many venues back there, in being in Ventura or Santa Barbara. Have you
Still
had?
the case?
Is it still the case? So
there's a few, but not a lot.
Yeah. But you guys have you have no problem finding a place to play. It sounds like you guys play pretty regularly.
It kind of comes and goes. It seems like sometimes it's like there's lots of shows offered, and then sometimes there's like dry spells. But some of it is because of our, again, families and jobs and everything. Sometimes there's periods where we can't play any shows because life. And so, we're trying to play more shows next year and kind of expand a little bit, play some more. But kind of back to the where we are from question is like, so I live up in Santa Maria, which is Santa Barbara County. But actually Kevin and Sean actually grew up here in Orchid. We all kind of went to, Sean, the drummer, I've known since second grade. We were in bands in high school. And so, three of us technically are from where I live now. It's just that, they moved away. And then when they started the band in 2019, I think.
We got together in 2018, 2019.
2018, yeah. They ran a Craigslist ad looking for a bass player, and then that's how they found and met Jose, who's hopefully still be here at some point. And then I was actually at a baby shower in 2019 for Sean. And he's like, I'm in a band and we might need another guitar player. And I was like, I play guitar. And so, that's how that came to be. And now I've been in 5 years. So I guess we've been together like you guys total 6 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of like our, where are we from kind of thing. That's how we all like, I grew up with Sean. I've known Sean forever. Sean knew Kevin forever. I knew of Kevin, and I knew Kevin's older brother a little bit, but we just kind of all ran in the same circles growing up. So we eventually got back together somehow. So
I'm gonna go to the chat real quick and say hi to everybody coming in. We were talking to the
hey everybody,
Southern California based band Carry the Nine, and thank you for coming in. Feel free to share us out if you wish. Brother Max says 90s punk was cool. What's the most challenging thing you say to having a band, if there is any? That's a really good question, because my memories about how it was are totally different from, I'm sure, yours, and I'm sure it's changed. Some things have changed, but some things have some things have stayed the same, but a lot of things have changed for the positive for bands. I look at now, like, bands could go anywhere they want to go to. Whereas before, you would always hear bands always talk about, you'd always hear them talk about trying to sign up with a label.
Yeah. Like, I think, all the streaming, the Spotify, like nowadays, smaller bands, it's, hey, there's Jose.
There's Jose.
What's going on here, boys? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool. All right, well, I'm actually riding now. I don't have to drive, so I'm good to go. You can't see me; those kind of dark, huh?
We can see you.
Yeah,
we
can see cool. We can see the beard. So
as long as you got the beard, man, that's really all that matters.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Glad you're here. So yeah, back during my old days, it was all everybody's holding out to get that label, trying to play showcase, trying to get trying to get the main support on a big bill, looking to play with a national band, always seem to be at the mercy of the club or the labels or the radio. Now it seems to me like now none of those really matter so much anymore, because everything that you used to be trying to get, you can do it all by yourself now.
Yeah, the have definitely a lot. The 25, almost 30 years that we've been playing music, yeah, it used to be like, you have, if you're from an area that has, a handful of bands, and everyone's got like those big fish in the pond in their town, in their county, that they're trying to get shows with. If you that band that plays a lot, and if you can just kind of get on with them, and for us, that there were bands that like we thought they were doing great when they would open up for like AFI, or like a band like that, if they got on with them, and then we would just try to get on shows with them when we could, and hopefully get noticed by some of the same people, and now there's just so much more access, and I think it's still that self-marketing and that self-promoting, but it's done in back then you had to be savvy in a different kind of way. Now I think you have to, the ability, eyes and ears is there, you just kind of know how to do it. And it's still kind of the same. You still want to lump yourself in with other acts that have a lot of eyes and ears on them. That's ability there. Because a lot more there. It's more readily available.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that, because before like Mika's mentioning, I always wondered if it was better to go with a label or stay in the independent route. Back in the 80s and in the 90s, you were trying to get signed. You were trying to, but I think toward the end of the 80s, beginning of the 2000s, once you didn't have to, like, okay, so maybe I'm not getting on that. Maybe I'm not getting on that bill with AFI. That sucks. Yeah, because you always want to play live in front of a band like that. But the thing is, before, it'd be like, a lot of bands would just hang their head, because it was like you worked really hard trying to get that show. But now, thanks to the social media, now you can just crank up your own. You can actually do your own thing on your own channel. I mean, you could go ahead and crank it up on YouTube or SoundCloud, or wherever supports live music. And you can do your own thing now.
Yeah, if you know how to do that hustle, which I'm not like I don't. I'm like
that's what Jeremy's for.
Yeah, that's.
I remember back in the day using that book your own fucking life zine, and just that's what I used like back in the day, and it was a lot more fun. I guess social media and all that's cool, but I kind of like that. I miss that.
We need to
talking to people.
Wasn't
having to call up clubs.
Put that out? Wasn't that Flip Side that put that out? Book Your Own Fucking Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, Flip man. I hope is Flip Side still going on down in Southern Cal?
I don't know, man.
Man, everybody used to talk about maximum rock and roll, man, but for me, it was always Flip Side. They always seem to have the coolest writers and the coolest bands.
In Orchid, just get your hands on one of those. You felt cooler than everybody else.
Now, so I'm glad they keep that out, because it really does look like Southern California still has a very vibrant scene from all all the genres. It seems like there are, despite downtown LA looking like a war zone, but there are still clubs out there still open for business, and still putting on shows. And I asked earlier, it's like, is it hard getting shows now with like if you call up a venue and you sit there and say, hey, can I get a show? Is it harder now to do it than when you first started, or is it easier now?
I think it's still, I don't know. It seems like nowadays, like it's things like, how many Instagram followers do you have? What's your Spotify follower count? Like it's a little more, they have their parameters. So I think for us, we've still been just trying to kind of grow our presence, just so that when you try to ask for those shows, they look at you and say, okay, because they don't just want to take your word for it. I guess that, oh yeah, some people will show up, whether that's true or not. They want to see some numbers.
So they do that to the punk rock bands too. They twist you on the social media.
Yeah, the promoters look at all that. They want like your electric. We got to send them press kits. They want all that stuff. And they check out all your links, and they, yeah. So,
wow.
So yeah, we've been. I think it's I think the grunt work is still kind of the same age-old thing. You just have to talk to a lot of people, whether it's just a different, you're not cold calling people. It's like through social media and like networking through that way, and through still playing shows with the bands, getting to know, some of the local promoters, and then hopefully at some point they, I don't know, if you bug them enough, they put you on a show, and then if you do okay, then they'll put you on future ones, that sort of thing. So it's still like that whole like kind of slow building process.
Right.
But
I guess it's just a question of how long that takes.
Instead of having to wait outside a club or a venue or something, or be at the right party to run into something, and you can just pester them without you can do it while you're at work. That ability part is easier. But yeah, they still want to. They can see your credentials, and they still want you to be at a certain level before they'll put you on.
The good thing is we have a good kind of pool of bands we've been playing with, and it's been fun, getting to know these guys and getting to play in different places. So that part seems to still be like it used to be. Like it's very similar to what it used to be.
Yeah, I definitely play with a lot of the same bands to get a lot of support from them, and they're able to get a lot of shows, and then we're able to play with them in certain counties and whatnot, and we're able to repeat that a couple more times throughout the year. So it's been pretty beneficial for all of us. It's been pretty cool.
Now, I think we played the most shows in Paso Robles, I think, probably.
North County's been pretty good to us.
North County Slow, which we're not even from. So.
Yeah, which we have no allegiance.
Pretty good scene.
Now, what's the media like there for you guys? I mean, do you get invited on to do shows like this a lot in Southern California? Are there old-fashioned zines still going out there? People putting together old-fashioned zines with Xerox pictures and walking the streets during
that
the club?
Would be awesome.
The old DIY.
I haven't seen too many of those. I mean, there's and like
not at all.
I'm pretty sure social media just took that over. So I haven't seen any in a long time, to be honest.
I feel like there's probably got to be some group of like young kids somewhere who are just like, screw it, let's go analog and Xerox and just put out something, something you can hold in your hand.
No doubt. I mean, I used to go inside Tower Records, and the first thing you do when you go inside Tower Records is see what the zines were there. Yeah. And then you just grab a bag and put in 5 or 6 zines, and then that was the stuff you were reading on your way home. Let's see. Mika mentions interesting that venues want the numbers before allowing you to play a venue. Now we always wanted that. Talent, buyers always wanted that, hey, kind of crowd.
Are you going to get 50 people here or not?
Can you bring in at least 50? Can you bring in 25? And and then you watched it, and you try to help. And the thing is, so a good buyer like myself and Jimmy, we weren't afraid to help out a little bit too by offering a little bit of advice. Do talent buyers give you guys advice on how to get bigger crowds? Or, hey, it seems like we had a lot of people come in from South Orange County. If you promote, maybe try to aim toward that area this week, or see if you can draw upon that same crowd as XYZ did last couple of weekends. Do they offer you advice, or are they just pretty cold cut? As far as
I don't think most of the time on the shows we've played, we haven't, like, the venues, other than let us play there, haven't really, other than put a flyer together and put it on their website, they're not really, telling us how to market it or anything. So I think they're still kind of leaving it to us. I think if there was if we were on a show with like a bigger promoter, that a promoter's doing it, then they'd probably do more marketing and they'd be more helpful for that. But so far they're more like kind of, I think, like the DIY type shows, or where they're just, the venue is just advertising, hey, we have the show, and they're like, if people show up, they show up. I do know the show that we're playing, we're going to be playing in March up in Morro Bay at this place called the Siren, which is a very cool venue. That one, he's going to be helping us at least with some advice on how to get people there, because that one's a little more of a actual, paying show and all that sort of stuff. So I think he'll be a little helpful. They do a lot of different kinds of shows there, and they do some punk shows too. So he at least somewhat familiar with the scene up there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like other than if we get a show with a big promoter, they don't, you know, the venues don't really, the venues are just more of a space to do a show. It seems like they're not really, you know, doesn't seem like there's necessarily talent buyers involved at the ones we've done anyway.
We haven't really run into any of the like the promoters or bookers that like have you know, any like sage like wisdom for us or anything like it. At least not in this band. There's a couple bands that I've been in where you know, we like played maybe at like up in like Seattle or Portland where, you know, there's, you know, some guys doing the booking there who've been doing it for, you know, for a really long time, and will kind of coach us up on like, you know, next time you come here, like try hitting like flyer this place, or, you know, try to pay special attention over here, but not in this. Not for this band. I don't think we run into too much of that, other than, you know, people just being like, "Hey, I have a couple of bands that I think if I stick you with, that will go." You know, you'll meld.
You guys go together. Yeah.
Because we've said we've said yes to a lot of shows. Maybe gone with some gone on some bills that we weren't like exactly peanut butter and jelly with, but you know, still. So I mean, it you know, got along fine. We didn't stick out like sore thumbs or anything, but we've definitely had a few promoters be like, next time you come back, now we know who to put you with.
Okay, I can see that. Now, do you guys get a little bit of you know, are most of the club people a little more seasoned, or are they pretty young?
It's a pretty good mix. It's a pretty good mix depending on, you know, sometimes the venue, and then sometimes, you know, who we're playing with. But I've seen a little bit of everything.
Yeah, right. I think a band like yours is I love booking. I like booking with seasoned pros, because they set the table for the young bands. A lot of the young bands, you know, they would have underneath 10 or 15 shows underneath their belt, and you could just see them like, you know, like not taking care of their equipment, you know, like getting it out of the way, loading it out. You know, a lot of times they're more interested in catching up with a beer or a girl, and you know, maybe not turn around and watching the other band play or what have you, even though they themselves watched you play. So I appreciated the bands that I worked with that has some you know, it has some miles on the van, so to speak, because they set a great example for work ethic. And you know, because club owners and buyers, we appreciate it. Trust me, it's an amazing thing, you know, when you get a professional band acting professionally. It helps. So how did you guys meet? Now we already know that that. Let's see. Now, who did you find on the Craigslist? Yeah, because is that actually still a thing? I mean, finding talent on Craigslist.
We thought he was cat.
It's only because I'm old, man. Hell, they had this ad on Craigslist, and I answered it, and then I meet these guys, and you know, 30 years later, we're still hanging out and playing some punk rock.
Yeah, I never thought it would actually work, to be honest with you. I know there's probably some like maybe you could have gone through Facebook or some other websites, but that was the first one that stuck out in my head. And I just threw a dart, put an ad out, and this guy, I think, was the second guy to respond to it, and fell in love with the guy right away, and he's been with us ever since.
Yeah,
Hail Mary, man.
I've seen people. They still use Craigslist. It's just back in the day, man. It had such such a shady reputation. It's like
it
wasn't on misconnections.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, you hear people talking.
I was definitely on misconnections, Kevin.
People bringing their stuff up. Okay, I'll sell you I'll travel down to Detroit and sell my $1,500 iPhone to you for cash. You know. So now you guys all been playing together. Now, were you guys all punk rockers? I mean, growing up, or did you have other musical influences also as well? because it seems like most people see punk rock as a young man's game, and then as you get older and basically learn your instrument, you slowly become more of a rock performer, more of a more like a ballad, power ballads, and more professionalism on the instrument. Punk rock is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then out the door. And Has that all? Have you always been 100% punk?
So I'll take this. Jeremy, we learned our instruments together. We both, I think, around freshman, sophomore, something like that. Like Jeremy, you've been playing a little bit of guitar, but we had this group of 4 friends. And, we all just wanted to start a band. And so I was the only one who didn't have an instrument. I was like, well, I'll play drums, and just saved up with a dumb job working at a golf course and bought drums. And we all just kind of learned together. And man, we wanted to be like Guns N' Roses. We wanted to be.
Oh yeah, we were grunge era, man.
Yeah. Then I'd always for me, I had a babysitter that the kind of troublemaker kid down the block who would come, when my parents couldn't find anybody else to watch, and he would come over and, watch while my parents went to dinner, and he would bring over all this rap that I wasn't allowed to listen to, and all this he brought over Op Ivy and Suicidal Tendencies and what is it, Naughty by Nature, and all this dirt, all this stuff that I had no idea what it was. And I'd catch myself on the way back from school stopping by the house and be like, hey, can you make me a copy of that tape, bring that stuff over, and so that was kind of how I started getting into punk rock, was unbeknownst to my parents, because my dad was a cop, he didn't want me to listen to that shit. My mom was a nurse, she didn't want me to listen to that shit. And then I honestly, I think just a lot of other people, once Green Day Face to Face had hit, and punk rock had exploded, I think that kind of became what we realized, that hey, we can't be Guns N' Roses, we can't be Alice in Chains, we can't be these bands that are just tremendously talented. What we can do? We can learn 4 chords and blow our lungs out, and let's do that.
Yep. And I kind of had something similar. I kind of got into grunge music. My brother learned how to play guitar. My dad played guitar for his whole life. And then when my brother finally was in a band, it was a punk band. And I remember watching him on stage playing in front of people, and how everybody was in awe. And I was just looking around. I'm like, I want to be like that. And so I had my brother teach me some guitar. And from there, he got me into some punk music. Like Sean said, Face to Face, it was Pegboy, Lagwagon, Strung Out, NoFX. And basically I've been stuck with that genre ever since, because it's still one of my favorite genres, that melodic punk, where you can actually hear what the singers are saying. You got the backup vocals, you got the octaves on the guitars, and that's where No Use for a Name and Good Riddance really became an influence for me in writing my music. And to this day, that's exactly how I kind of compose my music, is that kind of genre.
That's great. Mika and Kira want to know some of your favorite bands. Now, you mentioned a lot of the bands were on the with Fat Mike, NoFX, on his label. There's some gifted bands out there, punk rock bands out there.
I would say so. Punk is my main one that I like, but I'm big into I like metal. I love Metallica. I love Slash is my favorite guitarist. That's why I play guitar. So we mentioned Guns N' Roses. So I always have those influences. So even though we play punk, when I do solos and stuff, I'm all right, how would Slash, that sort of stuff. Not that I can emulate Slash, but I do like that. I like some. I know Jose's background's a little more on the metal side. He was in metal bands and stuff. But I love Killswitch Engage. Yeah, I love Trivium. I love Metallica.
Playing some hardcore bands.
Oh my! I was into the grunge thing myself toward the end there. I was, it's I was heavy into that, and then I got into more folk rock, and then I got into more. I grew up. I was a '70s kid, so I grew up with all the '70s bands. All the Journey and the Boston and the Styx and the Queen.
I love all those too. I still love Journey and Boston. I mean, Boston guitar work is awesome.
I didn't really become a hard punk rocker until after I got out of high school. I listened to a lot of Prince and Parliament Funkadelic, and when I first was in high school. When I got out of it, then I started, and then I got into punk, and all of a sudden it's like, man, this is a lot of fun right here. It's just so fast and furious. I love the Pit, and that was just exciting times. Isn't it interesting? It does seem like the older you get, it does seem like the more you expand, your horizons, because I knew bands that they would play nothing but just one genre, and they would have in the term sellout. The term sellout is just like, I can't tell you how many times I've had a discussion with some young pop band, some band with snot running down their nose and wet behind the ears, saying how such and such band sold out. And you're sitting there going like, well, what does that mean to you? What is that like? Why did you start playing for? What's the whole goal of you?
Wanted somebody to hear us.
Right. That's the whole reason, to get people. And it's like, and there's only one way to do that. You got to move forward. You got to have a lot of people listen to you, and in order to do that, you got to give them what they want to hear. It's not, it's not just as you just can't stay rooted. So do you find yourself now? Let's talk a little bit about songwriting. Now, who's the primary songwriter? Are all four of you songwriters, or is there one primarily lyrical songwriting? One.
It's I was kind of like the main songwriter in the beginning, and Jeremy's been bringing a lot of songs lately to the band, and we have a little difference in how we write songs, but we're working on stuff in at band practice where it's starting to work and blend pretty well. It's just getting used to kind of a new style, and because with his background, the metal background, where I'm just used to just being the rhythm guitarist, and I'm focused on singing and playing at the same time. Jeremy's been pretty good at bringing in some new stuff where I'm like, I don't know if I can play and sing that at the same time. He's like, you can get it. And so we just kind of push each other, and it's coming together. And I feel like we're heading in this, I wouldn't say a different direction, but a little bit different direction to where it's actually broadening our horizons, which is pretty cool. And we're able to put some more awesome music together, just getting better and better.
And I think we're a little more, some of the newer stuff, we're a little more collaborative, like where it's like, oh, I have this part, and then like, now what do we do? And it's like, oh, well, and we just kind of jam things, and then things like one or the other, any of us come up with something, it's like, oh, that's cool. And then, the songs kind of, some of the newer ones have been kind of more that way, where it's like, we have parts, but nothing's done. And then we just kind of like jam it out and end up with songs, which is fun. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, that is the fun part, isn't it? Now, do you guys rotate? Do you guys rotate to where you guys practice at, or do you have a central base where you do?
Sean's
house at this point.
Sean's house,
where we've been for a while.
Yeah,
He's got space.
Yeah, we had like a little rehearsal studio situation in Ventura for a while, and that was that was cool. That was okay. It really sucks hauling your gear in and out every time you want to get a practice going, and not being able to, just kind of relax afterwards and hang out. I was really fortunate enough to just recently be able to buy a house, and so part of the reason that we really liked this place is because they had already converted half of the garage into this little extra room. I don't know what they were using it for, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a band room.
Band space.
So,
yep.
So yeah.
I was actually looking for one of you guys. You guys dropped off. I was trying to see.
Like Jose.
Probably dropped.
Yeah.
He's got bad reception, I think.
Yeah. California, Southern California, notorious. I'm telling you. Just let him know I was trying to get him back on. If you can hear me, Sean, if you can, all you need to do is just back out of the room and just come back in, and I'll bring you back up.
Jose. I'll text him. I'll let him know.
Yeah, all you need to do is just back out and then come back in through the same link, and then I'll bring him back up. Now we were talking about this too. He said you guys don't necessarily have to do this as you have such a since you have a small circle as far as playing playing your venues, but it is a fun one to talk about, and that is we will go back to songs in a minute, but I wanted to ask you this because I don't think I finished my question when you first came on, but what's it like where do you guys like to eat at the most when you're on the road? I mean, is it something that you think about? Do you guys bring your own? Do you bring your own snacks and cooler in the car for afterwards? How does the band survive on the road?
Well, I'll be the easiest. I would say I'm the healthiest. I don't eat a lot during, like, if we have a show that evening, I actually don't eat a lot that day. It's not really like being nervous or anything in any way. I'm just not hungry. It's almost like I have plenty of energy for the show, but then usually after the show is when I'm ready to eat anything, or I have a big breakfast the next morning. But as far as being on the road, yeah, probably just snacks, and that's about it. No like big meals or anything. Maybe sushi for lunch, and that's about it. That'll be like my biggest thing.
Yeah, it's the way.
Now, do you find yourself getting gigs during the week? Like if somebody called and say, "Hey man, I so and so bailed out on me. I need a pinch hitter here for this national." Is this something that you guys can do and willing to do, or
pretty challenging? We've never done it. It's just because we all work and things, and just trying to do a midweek show, like especially with short notice, would be generally pretty challenging, because depending on workloads and work schedules, can we get somewhere by 7:00?
Yeah, we all have pretty involved jobs that that's not easy just to get off.
Yeah, we've gotten a few shows offered the last couple months, it seems like, but it's been a lot of, oh, can you play this Sunday? And it's like Friday, and it's like, no, we can't.
Yeah, right.
We need 2 to 4 weeks advance notice to kind of get it on everyone's calendars with kids' activities and kids and work and just all that stuff. There's a lot to coordinate with all of us, so it's just the reality. It's just the reality of we're not 20 and single with no families at all or anything, or not working. We're not in college.
Do the younger guys give you a hard time for that? I mean, when they see you guys coming in, loading in your gear and whatnot, I mean, how do some of the younger bands, 18, 19-year-olds, how do they treat you? I mean, are they respectful, or do they,
I'm sure on the way home they're like, Grandpa back there was pretty solos.
Actually, he hit the drum set pretty hard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, man.
I mean, the thing I've noticed that it seems like is that compared to what I remember like 25 years ago being in bands, maybe it was just our local scene was very toxic. Everyone we play with are very cool, and like all the crowds seem to be very cool. Like everyone's like nice, basically. There's, and that's even when we've played shows with like metal bands and like ones that we're not necessarily exact fits for, like everyone's still cool and we all get along, and like all the bands are nice to each other and we all like watch each other. I mean, it's like a very nice thing. A lot of the bands we play with though are, I'd say, especially in our similar genre, are going to be on the older side anyway. Like we're all, 35 plus at least, just because of what we play. So we haven't really played with too many like 20-year-old bands, although we played with a couple, I guess, younger ones, and they were cool too.
Shoot, one of our first shows was like, those kids didn't look old enough to be drinking the beers that Jose was giving them.
There he is.
Jose didn't ask, so it didn't matter.
What's going on, boys?
There he is. Hey. Welcome back, bud.
Yeah, I would like to, that's one. Isn't that something too? You have to. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's an interesting topic too. But man, you're right. I mean, bands are cool as hell. Like you never hear any. Back when I was working, there was no such thing as rivalries. There's no such thing as beasts. There's no such thing as entourages, and believe me, there's I've seen local entourages. There was no such thing as local entourages. And a lot of it was just support. They go out there, get a beer, kick back, watch the other band play. Congratulate them. Be excited for them. If they had a good crowd. Yeah, it was always like that. I can't remember an inner band fight.
We haven't seen any.
I mean, as far as a fight between two different bands, I never saw that in 10 years.
I mean, we like Jeremy was saying, where we came from, it just seemed like in the mid early 90s, like 92 to, I mean, I left our area in like 99, 2000, but like it did kind of seem like there was it could feel like a battle of the bands, because
there's a clique
up in this little crappy town, and and I don't want to say there was like rivals, and there was never any like actual spats between bands.
Definitely cliques, though. I hear what you're saying, Sean.
People would talk. Yeah, like it's cool. Like I like where we're at right now. I like the way that things have felt right now. Like it feels like everyone we play with is just excited just to be out playing for people. And and that's kind of stuff that like we want to try to cultivate. But yeah, like I've definitely been a part of some scenes where it felt like it was just every weekend was battle of the bands. And if you were on a bill band, you needed to, like they were trying to blow you off stage, or or they were trying to jockey for who played where on what bill as a sign of respect or disrespect. And I'm glad that seems to have, at least in our
it was so bad. Battle of the bands were just like, man, I just hated those things. I never did one myself, but I used to go. There's a club that used to do that, Battle of the Bands, and I went up there like twice. I went up the first time, and I'm watching the bands play, and it's like, oh, it was obvious, it was just obvious what it was all about. It was a popularity contest, really all it was. It's like there's like 5 bands here that are wiping the ass off the bands you're gonna say, is okay. Buffalo 6 is moving on. Yeah, they should be moving on to get some lessons, because they just got
right.
They just got their ass handed to them by 5 other great bands, and then they'd be back to the final, and then the promoter would be up there and sitting there, yeah, here we go, and it was just about popularity. And then at the end of the night, and the thing is, so at least I will say this about the winning band. I will say this: they had the class enough to lower their head after they played. They knew that they were not the best band, and they did not act like their shit didn't stink, because it did compared to what was out there. And and they knew it. They knew it because they had the cutest girls come out, or more importantly, they sold the most tickets.
Yeah, they had the most of their friends show up, which
right.
Any frat band can do that. And they'll be out there playing Sublime covers half the night, and like the crowd goes nuts, and you're like,
Sublime.
Come on, bud.
Yeah, as long as they have the Dalmatian with them. Hey, yeah. Mike, how are you, sir? How are you? Glad you're here. That is something I was going to ask you too, because as far as I know, that was not happening in LA's punk scene or Orange County's punk scene, and that was selling tickets. It seemed like only the hair bands or the metal bands, rock bands or whatnot, they were trying to get in on the Viper Room or Gazzari's. They're the ones that were out there being forced to sell tickets. Has that changed now, or do you find some venues that are asking you to sell tickets?
None of that we've played. I know the Rainbow Room, right? Is that the one we were talking about? They still do that. Whiskey.
The whiskey, yeah, they do that.
Whiskey still does that.
I think it's all the old.
None of the ones we played with
always did that. Or not bands, metal clubs. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we haven't run into that with what we've played. Obviously, they want you to, hopefully have people show up so they can make money. A lot of the shows we've played are at like breweries and things, and so, they want people to show up to buy beer, because that's how they end up making money. But they don't necessarily, charge for admission either or anything.
And also, like, I always think everyone would agree with me, is like, we're not really playing for the money, even though it's nice to get it. But if they tell us ahead of time, hey, we'll give you 70% cut of the door or whatever. Yeah, we want to push this. We want to bring as many of our friends as we can. We do want to fill that place up because not only do we want it to be a great show, but we want to be able to be invited back. And we're getting a second chance to play, as Jeremy said, at the Siren in Morro Bay, which is a rad venue, and it's going to be an all punk night. And I'm looking forward to stuff like that. And I really wish they had more places that would do that. So,
is it hard to get? Is it hard to get your peers out there? I mean, as an older band, is it hard? Is it hard to get your, like, hey,
sometimes
come on, Joey, let's go out there and watch us play, man, and hit that mosh pit. And you're going like, dude, man, I got hip replacements. I'm not going nowhere near that pit.
Yeah.
Friends know that you can only ask them to come out so many times in a year, and so like maybe save certain shows. You're like, okay, like this one at the Siren. Like, I'm gonna be asking people that I probably haven't talked to in a minute. Like, hey, come hang out. You can't ask that every time.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I grew up on the East Coast, and it was. I just don't know anybody here, basically. These guys, but they're already there. So
you don't need to know anyone else.
No help, Jose. Jose's going to be there.
Jose will be there.
That's all that matters. I've been lucky enough. My girlfriend and her friends always come out. It's pretty cool. So I got the same group of crowd that comes out.
So how well do you think that you do match up with what we're hearing, in your local scene? How do you think you do match up? I mean, do you think that you guys more than hold your own? That you're definitely in the top third of the bands that you played with or listened to, or do you feel like this?
I mean, we get a lot of people saying, I believe we're really tight at what we do, and the songwriting's really good, and it's just, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it's what we like, and it's good. And so you can always tell the difference between bands that, maybe aren't as good and want to play that style versus, bands like us that have played for a long time. And we always hear that, especially people that hear us for the first time. They're like, man, it's really tight. It's really good. So that's,
I'm hearing
I don't know if it's the top third, but for sure we get a lot of praise. So for us, that's great.
Okay, I heard some background. Does someone have anything on in the background?
I think Jose.
It's Jose.
That might have been me. I pulled over so I could talk to you guys, but it's a little loud in here. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Try not to let the radio come through, Jose, because YouTube is very stickler when they hear somebody else's stuff on their channel. I hate it, but I just gotta say it. Yeah, you can't.
I mean, I think
it's something. If you guys played tonight, right now, if I say, hey, break out and play acoustically, I would have to go there, and they would give me a warning, and I would have to sit there and say, the band gave me permission to do. Oh, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So okay, so as far as that goes, so top third, I could definitely see that. I mean, I saw some of the videos that you post up on your YouTube channel. I'm taking that the YouTube channel is going to be relaunched, or you relaunched it. I see some songs on there. You're just now starting to get going on that again. Let's talk a little bit about.
I've been hit and miss on it.
Now, how do you guys work that as far as promotion goes? Is it is it 100% team effort, or does each member have a responsibility in terms of promoting the band? Because you guys are pretty well connected. You guys have a lot of social media aspects out there. You have a pretty good footprint. So somebody out there is doing the work. Is that all four of you?
That's mainly Jeremy. He knows how to do all that stuff and get our music out there, and he's been busting his butt on all those different social media sites, doing posts and whatnot. As far as I can put in, I'll maybe post videos or upcoming shows on Facebook and Instagram, but Jeremy pretty much takes care of all the rest of that. So I'll leave it to the professional.
Yeah. So, and it's one of those things. I'm definitely not a professional, but I like to mess with things and learn things. So you just kind of figure it out as we go.
So what bands? What bands have? What band right now if you had to build a bill right now, all the local bands, what bands should we be paying attention to as far as out there tearing it up? What bands are impressing you right now?
Let's see.
Anybody want to start? Free advertising. Well, I mean, we're a little biased because a lot of these bands we've gotten to know as like even as friends outside the bands, but we play with them a lot. My buddy Pete and Bunker Club, they're based out of Orchid or the North County area. They've been playing shows left and right and getting out there, and they've been putting us on a lot of their shows, and we've been having a blast with them. They're doing great. Those are some punk rock veterans right there. We've been lucky enough to play with a lot of other local cool bands. Who do we have? We had like Division 13, Latest Regret. Who else do we have, guys?
The boys from Arizona.
Oh yeah, Vacant Skies are rad. Yeah, it's really cool getting some bands from outside the state that come through here for tours, and we jump on a couple of shows with them. And we eventually want to make ourselves out to Arizona to go play down there. So, but yeah, it's been. And as far as where I live here in Ventura, there's a big scene here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Patrick. Nardcore scene, and that's Oxnard hardcore. We don't quite fit that genre. But I mean, there's some good music out there. A lot of big bands that fit that genre. We just haven't had. I'm going to use the word luck, but we haven't played with a lot of those bands yet. But I think that door should be opening here soon, hopefully with our new music and all that as we go into the studio.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see how many stalwarts are still out there slinging away. I mean, you know, I'm just blown away by it. You know.
I mean, I think that says a lot too as to why people stay kind of involved in this and kind of do, you know, keep playing the same style of music essentially, you know, for 20 years. Is there, you know, they're not doing it for any kind of really, you know, success or kind of attention. Really, I think they just do it because they have to. They do it because they do it to stay, and they do it to feel, you know,
alive, man.
Still feel alive. Because, you know, if I didn't do this, I'd be a much less happy person than I already am.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a musical outlet, man. So.
Let's see. Mika mentions. No, that's awesome. I'm sure getting to tour with some of these bands. Yeah, I definitely would suggest a home and away with your friends from Arizona. Hey, you know, you build them a show here, they build you one down in Arizona. That's nice. I know a lot of bands used to do that.
Absolutely.
They would go up to Oregon. I would book tours. For local bands, up to Seattle and back. And then when they were ready to come back, I would give them a show at my place. That was always a good deal for me.
For sure. And I
got to work with a lot of great bands. Well, let me tell you. Now, as far as the songwriting goes, do you look at what's going on in the world? Like you see how things are going on in the world. You know, punk rock has always been an anthem of speaking out against social injustice. It's always been their calling card. You know, it's not love songs. It's not like, you know, going out to the drive-in with your girl. It's always been a political protesting type of language. Young people, vocalizing their dissension. But you guys being older as you are, and I don't mean to hype on this in any respect, but what I wanted to say is, do you feel that it's still in your bones? Like when like you see what's coming up toward us here in a couple of weeks. Do you feel like you need to rage against the machine a little bit? Do you have that anger toward what's going on in the world? Does that fuel your songwriting and your playing live?
I think it would be like fake if we didn't. You know, there's definitely that in there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not propaganda by any means. Like, I mean, it's so many great punk brands have done that so perfectly and eloquently and
Bad Religion.
I mean, there's almost a feeling for me where, and I mean, like, yeah, like I think I've only written lyrics for like maybe a couple of songs, but the one song that I get to sing and wrote the lyrics to. Is like, yeah, it's social commentary for sure. But I think if you're gonna do that, you got to do it. If you're gonna do that right and do it well, it takes a minute. Like, I don't want to do it just to do it. Like when I did when I was 18, 17, 19, you know, just writing pissed off songs about, you know, about politics, you know, even though, you know, we're listening to Good Riddance at that time. We're listening to, you know, all these bands that are just writing, you know, these great, you know, FUs. And, you know, when you're an idealistic 18-year-old kid, you're like, oh, this is the song right here that's gonna take down the whole Bush regime. I'm this. Here we go. We're taking down the party. This is gonna open people's eyes. And now it's like, now if we're gonna take the time.
I'm sure you met you know, young slingers down there at the club. I'm sure you've met those type of, you know, firebrands, you know, and you know, how do you look about them? Do you look at them like, I used to be one of those, or do you look at them going like, or do you find yourself in your songwriting a little bit jaded and cynical, like, you know, back when we thought we could make a difference, and then here he is 20 years later, and we haven't done shit, you know, as far as, you know, the status quo still is, even though we raged, it really hasn't done anything for anybody. You know, I guess it is like, how hard is it to remain, have that punk ethic and ideals, and, you know, when you're seeing what's coming down the pike, and you're going like, I'm too old for this shit, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'll chime in on that, and I'll keep this loose without getting into further details. But, you know, I swing a little different direction than my bandmates, but we've been pretty good at keeping it to ourselves. But I also believe that we're entitled to our own opinions. And I see a lot of my favorite bands, same thing. They may swing the other way, but it's like, you write great music, you're doing your thing, and you know, you have a passion for it. Doesn't bug me at all. It's nothing against me. It's you're entitled to your thoughts and your opinions. I tend to write music more. I've been through like the heartbreak, and so I've done a lot of like heartbreak songs and whatnot. And of course, it's very subjective because a lot of people have been through certain types of that thing, and it was just easier for me. It was, like I said, it was an outlet for me. I tend to write my best songs when I go through times like that. It's been a while, but I got to figure out another subject to write about, because things are going pretty good in my life now. So we'll see how that goes.
You can write about me.
There you go, Jose.
Yeah, Kevin's too happy to have the blues.
Yeah, yeah, that's you know, I mean, that's, you know, you listening to punk rock music for as long as all of us have. It's just like, you know, I just want to know if there's still the passion out there for it. I mean, it's like, you know, before we asked for young bands, like, why do you play? You know, like, I want my voice heard. You know, it's like, okay, but I think after 20, 25 years, I think the goals have changed. You know, like, why do you still play? Well, I play because I love to play. I love to play the, you know, I love to play the, you know, the music. I admire people who have those ideals, the same ideals that spurred me. But, you know, maybe, you know, times change, people change, the message change. Yeah. And then I know there's some that are our age that has never changed. It's still as vibrant, still as fiery as ever before. You know, it's like, you haven't changed at all since I met you when you were 19. They still got the fire in them. And, you know, it's sort of, you know, I guess it's sort of interesting to see how a band such as yourselves, how you carry the torch. I mean, is it still way high, or is this just, you know, moving forward? As long as you're moving forward, right?
And that's definitely been our shtick for, I mean, the last couple of years here. I mean, we went through 2022. We played a whole bunch of shows. Last year, we didn't play as many shows because life happens. You know, things that happen outside our lives. But we still stuck together. We still practice as much as we. We're pushing the gauntlet, and we're writing new songs. We're going into the studio next month, which we're all really excited about, because now we get to record 4 more songs that we can put out there on social media, all the streaming services, just to get our songs heard if you can't come to our shows. And so I'm really excited about that, because I think that's going to open up more doors for more shows, more bands to play with, and the passion for this band has not stopped. I mean, I don't think we'd be here right now if the passion stopped, to be honest with you. We all push each other.
And it shows the growth too, these new ones.
I agree with you. I think recording, fresh songs is always a huge plus. And it's a great calling card for you to, as far as, getting inside venues, especially when when you are coming off something new, brand new, and you give it to the buyers, and this is what we're doing. This is what, this is where we're at now. And it's a great thing to see. Do you guys record a lot? How many albums have you guys recorded as this unit right here? Have you
3?
Yeah,
we recorded 3.5 songs 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then so we've been a little slow on that, but I mean the weird thing to me nowadays is the whole album concept doesn't seem to really matter anymore. It's you just release a couple songs at a time at Spotify and call it good. You don't
accept the, you don't
the whole we have 12 songs, we need to go a month in the studio and then we're going to release this album thing. I mean, obviously some of the older bands and on the older labels are still doing that, but I think a lot of people now it's just well, here's 3 songs, we're going to release them, and then a year from now here's another 3 songs kind of thing. It's just a different mentality.
That's another thing that's gone full circle too. Back in the 50s, man, that's what you used to do. That's what you used to tour on. You used to tour on singles.
Yeah, those little.
They put you in a bus with 10 or 12 other acts, and you'd be down in the South, and you'd be playing your one hit, and you get on the bus and do it again the next night. I mean, it was crazy. And then next thing you know, then you're getting long players, and you get LPs, and then you're getting double LPs, and you're getting double live LPs. And now it's back down to
Here's 2 songs,
singles. Yeah.
Clusters of songs.
How has the streaming services been for you for the songs that you have put on there? Do you notice that people buying them or downloading them? I mean,
it's.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think Spotify is the main one nowadays, and obviously, it's hard to compare, but we get a decent amount of streams. Obviously, I don't think Spotify, that could be a whole discussion, but obviously Spotify is, nobody, even the giant bands on Spotify are not getting paid enough for the amount of streams they're getting. That's why when you go to see a show now, it's $300 for a ticket, because that's how the bands are making money now. They're not making money from, Spotify paying them $100 a year in streaming or whatever they're getting.
It's sort of to me, it's sort of frustrating in a sense, it's man, there's other venues out there, other platforms out there for music, and it's just man, if you just get someone like a Taylor Swift to back out, and sit there and say, I'm not putting my shit on you anymore, I'm putting it on somebody else. If you just have someone like that, make that call and get people to start leaving.
You had some really big artists that were holding out. I mean, a
lot of them held out for a long time.
Yeah, they're holding out for a minute, and man, they got wore down, man. It's a hard fight. I mean, even if you get, say, just the top 10 most popular artists in the world to say no, there's still 7 or 8 other platforms you can find their music on. There's really no.
And the youngsters are finding it on TikTok, and these bands are not even heard of yet, and it's crazy.
But are bands getting paid on TikTok? Are we hearing that
Well, in theory, they're getting. I know that it can be, it can be monetized, so they are paying something, but it's not. What does Spotify pay? A tenth of not even a tenth, 100th of a cent per stream or something?
It's something
nothing.
I can't even see how they survive by being so cheap.
Yeah, it's just that music has been commoditized, so people don't see a value in paying for it, and so when that happens, it's a natural result. If people don't think it, if people don't think it costs people, time and effort and their own money and everything to produce whatever it is, art, and then people aren't willing to pay for it. That's just what happens. And obviously again, we're not doing it for the money anyway. It's not like we're going to make tons of money, but obviously it is a challenge when even mid-sized bands that we grew up on, and they're, we always thought they were pretty big. They all have day jobs too. And these are big touring bands that still release albums and play, 100 shows a year, and they still have day jobs because even in a pretty decent sized band, they can't afford to do it. Yeah. And I know some friends and I know some friends in even bigger rock bands that they can't make a living just doing music.
No.
And they're in pretty big bands that pay, 5,000 seat amphitheaters and stuff. So it's just what's happened to the music industry. It's just the money's been kind of sucked out of it.
Yeah, it went from one extreme to another so drastically and so quickly. That
went from people making crazy money, just like MC Hammer money, to suddenly making no money except for big tours and things and merch.
Right. People, I've heard people talk about how, they go to a concert and they say it's so expensive. It's so expensive. I wouldn't try to get a T-shirt and it's like $50. And I'm like, well, that band is trying to gouge me. And I'm like, well, it's not the band, boys and girls. The band, let me tell you, if the band had their way, you'd be getting that shirt there for $5-6.
Yep.
But that's not how it works out. It's the venue. The venue charges like 30%, and they count it in.
And plus, the band's got a manager. They have there's a lot of people in line taking from the band before it ever gets to the band.
Yeah.
So, and then plus they're not, their sales of music, they're not making anything on, so they have to make it up in another way. The alternative would be just if people can't actually make a living doing it, then there'll just be a lot less music out there because not everyone can afford to do it just for the love of it. Eventually people have to.
Well, you start noticing now, like radio stations. Radio stations used to be the ultimate. That really was. It was the first major label deal with the video, and then the radio. But radio first and foremost, because if you cracked on radio, then everything else followed. Hey, I'm on the radio. They're playing me every hour, twice every hour. And next thing you know, then they're getting the deal. Then they're getting on tour. But it seems like now radio, as we know it, it is slowly. It's like TV. It's like TV is slowly dying. And 10 years. Yeah. 10 years. Will radio even be around in 10 years? You listen to radio, and it's like what you need to do when you listen to radio is listen to the commercials. Commercials tells you everything about the health of a radio station. If you're sitting there and they're not selling very good commercials. They're selling just a lot of local businesses or what have you. There's no national, or there's a lot of PSAs. They're not getting paid for, but they're putting it out there because they're filling up the time slot. If you get a lot of bands with a lot of stations with PSAs, it tells you that they're hurting too. They're not making money like they used to. It's tough. Radio is especially it used to be when all of us were growing up, they used to have radio personalities, and now they don't have those anymore.
Yeah, there's 10 left in the whole country probably that exists. It used to be like every local market had their big radio guy or whatever, right? So it's like
and they used to be able to pick their own music. And I think that was probably that was the first warning shot across the bow that things were going to be changing, and not in a not so good way, was when all of a sudden they were only playing what they were told to. They faxed them down sheets of playlists to say play this and play that, and then all of a sudden you're just there to facilitate it. You're just there to make sure the station stays on the air.
Well, half the stations now are all just a computer running it anyway. And it's like not even live DJs anymore. It's
like Clear Channel, and it's all they're all the same.
How how would Carry the Nine fix things if they had a year to do so? If you had a year to fix things and the power to make it stick, what are a couple of things that you would actually make it easier for music to get out there? I guess the first thing would probably be the fix Spotify.
Well, yeah, at least make it a little more, pay people a little closer to what they're worth for creating things that people enjoy. And I don't know how you go about doing that, but that would be one thing.
Yeah, stop making it so you got like $5 gets you 3 songs in a jukebox, and 4 of those $5 go to the freaking label instead of the artist.
Yeah.
Shit,
the people that make the art should be the ones making the most from it. That's how it should work. Obviously, that probably even in the 50s and 60s, that's not how it actually worked, because the labels obviously ripped off a lot of the artists. Nowadays, I mean, the good thing is the power is a little more into the artist's hands, I guess, because of like the good thing with Spotify and social media is it's kind of like the great equalizer, because it's like, well, you don't need some label. We can just do it ourselves. And
Now, have you guys done that? Have you guys played a live show so far, based out of your practice place? Have you done that?
Streamed? No, we've never tried that.
Man, I'd love to see you guys do that.
I wouldn't mind to try that. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, we just have to figure out the technology. That would be the the fun part. Figure out how to make it sound okay.
Cool.
Yeah, if there could be some sort of, and I don't know what the cutoff is for a band that's too big, but if you could, some sort of independent streaming. I mean, I might be talking about something that already exists because I don't know shit, but like some sort of independent streaming platform where people can, I might actually be describing SoundCloud right the frick right now, but yeah,
Sean.
Yeah, I know. Damn it! I just gave our secret business model away.
We're gonna be rich.
Yeah, I think a band such as yours, I think honestly, I think that would be the coolest thing, to do a house party or play out of yeah. I think that would be.
I mean, I've always, like, when we play a show, half the time I'm like, oh, I should like set up we should be streaming this or on Instagram but then I'm like, where do I set up? How do I, we just never get around to doing it. So I think with a little pre-planning, we could probably do that sort of thing.
I tell you what, if you guys could do that, if you guys ever put it together, you just let me know, because this is where your skills and promotion come into play. It's like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and play a live show on our YouTube channel. Let me tell you, I would be there, and I would tell a lot of people. I would definitely hype that up, because I think that would be very cool.
Just keep talking that right into existence, man.
I like it. I like that. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
It's gonna go on the band calendar. You guys better watch out. You're gonna just see it pop up here in a second.
All right.
Now you guys do merch as well, right? I mean, if people want to get a hot T-shirt from Carry the Nine. And where did the band's name come from, Carry the Nine? I know it's a math equation, but
Sean?
Yeah, Kevin.
It's not me.
So I was listening to a lot of Bill. I just go through kind of fits and phases with certain bands, and I was listening to a lot of Built to Spill, and they've got an incredible song called "Carry the Zero," which if you haven't heard that, please do yourself a solid and listen to it. It's a great song, and then just thinking about I don't know, I do and say stupid things to myself, and I just thought Carry the Nine instead of Carry the Zero, because it's super profound, and yeah, I just kind of said it out loud, and it I don't know, we both just like we couldn't talk ourselves out of it. Like
we didn't hate it. Most of the time we come up with a band name and somebody hates it. It's like, yeah, that's, and so we were all like, yeah, that's cool. So
yeah, it stuck with us.
No one shot any arrows in that one, and it outlasted all the other crappy names.
There were some doozies too.
Arrow roulette. Let's say, check the chat here real quick. Mika says she loves discovering new music. Me too. There's a lot of let's see. It's changed. Music has changed so much. Our good friend Steve is here from Arizona.
What's up, Steve?
Hey, Steve.
Steve and his good pal Lucas Boy. Let's see. Mr. Dan is here. How are you, Mr. Dan? I think that's I think good. I think there's band names are a lot of fun, and it's always, to me, I've been so impressed with people who come up with original names, because it's like, you look at it and you go like, man, how can anybody come up with an original name for a band anymore? I mean, there's been hundreds of thousands of those suckers. How did people keep coming up with new names? It's like, it's impressive.
Well, I mean, after we came up with that, I did the I can't say the word right now, but I did the Google search.
Yeah.
Made sure that we weren't picking a name that was already around, because that's happened a lot of times.
Yeah.
At least Google makes that easier now.
90s and early 2000s that the internet could have stopped from.
Yeah. So yeah, luckily that one was available.
Now we're mentioning too that you guys do also make your own merch.
Yep.
And so if people want to get a T-shirt with Carry the Nine on it, what is the best way for them to get it? Should they contact you through the website?
The easiest is just, at this point, if you just go to our main website, carrythe9.com, there's a store link, and it has we got T-shirts, we got hats, we got koozies. What else we got? Oh, we got shot glasses. We got stickers.
Free stickers.
You roll a mob deep when you roll out with a shot glass.
I mean, it was just one of those cool things that was like, all right, you gotta have like something unique that not everybody has. So that was like one kind of unique thing. But, yeah,
all right. All right. Here's if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and feel free to send them their way to the band, to Sean and Kevin and Jose and Jeremy. By all means, go ahead and send questions if you have them. Talk about what instruments you guys play. What instruments you play? What kind of guitar, bass, drum? What kind of setup do you guys each have?
Go, Sean.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
The drummer. I have like three different kits. But the one I think that works best for this band, it's just a simple DW, 4-piece, lots of cymbals. I got a great X snare that is super loud that I can cowbell.
Don't forget the cowbell.
Yeah.
More cowbell.
Cowbell rock drum kit. That's. We're still working out the kinks with that one. But yeah, and then I have, I have this really nice 25-year-old custom-made Canadian kit with like a 24-inch. It's like the kit I thought I wanted when I was 20, and now I never play it because it's huge. It's just a gigantic 5-piece. If I could just go back and tell myself, like, don't do that.
Don't need that.
Don't need that. And then, yeah, that's it.
Favorite drummer that you've who's your favorite drummer other than yourself?
Oh Christ! I mean, you run down the list of punk drummers. If the Dave Brons, the Derek Lords, those guys. But I still Danny Carey is just such a beast. Stylistically, and this is weird because it's like no one's favorite drummer. I just love the way Dave Grohl plays drums. I just love his punctuality and his he's just tasteful and he's just always on point. But probably Danny Carey. Danny Carey's he's ridiculous.
The octopus.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Jeremy.
Let's see. Currently, my amp is a PV 6505, so it's like the 5150 after they lost their licensing with Eddie Van Halen. It was a pawn shop special that I got a few years ago, and my main amp blew up, and it's actually pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Guitar-wise, I don't know. I've gotten a few too many guitars the last year, so my midlife crisis. But my oldest guitar that I still have is my Les Paul Studio that I got my senior year in high school, brand new. So it's now almost 30 years old. It's a cool blue color. But I've got a bunch of Epiphones I've gotten the last year or so, Epiphone electrics, different ones that are pretty cool.
Let me get one question here. I got two questions here. Any tours for you guys coming up? I'm gonna save that for the last question. I'm gonna save that because that's a great question. We'll get where they're playing at next. Steve says, question. I see you have a YouTube channel, Carry the Nine. Is that yours? Yeah,
most likely is.
Yeah. But we can still, but we'll go ahead and help push it. I mean, I know it's like only 6 subs, but you know what? We have people here. We can go ahead and sub to the channel. You guys just have to make sure.
I've never. At some point, like 2 years ago, I was like, "Oh, we should be on social media," and I made like every platform there was. I made an account for, but then obviously there's some that we use more than others. So
yeah, Instagram. I see you guys. You guys have a pretty
guys. I can't talk because of the music.
You guys have a pretty good Instagram. I mean, you guys are getting close up to 2,000. That's actually not bad. I've seen a lot of
main. That's our main thing nowadays. So
yeah, Instagram.
In the end, I think you gotta. I guess since I don't have the time or budget, we just kind of focus on one, and maybe once that one's, then we can focus on another one, kind of thing. It's hard to do it all at once.
It's like if most of us here are tubers. And for that, it's like all you do is just go by there and you do maintenance. Like I'm going to stop by it like Monday and a Friday, and then make sure that whoever's following us, I'm going to follow them, and maybe just again, it's like you drop a little video, you drop a little like guitar lesson or something like that. Here's how we play. Here's how we play. One of our songs, and you break it down and you play it. Something like that. It just gets people into it, and music channels are very popular on YouTube. I've noticed that music does very, very well on this channel, very, very well on this platform.
Yeah, I think we just have to make it a focus at some point to, make it the next shiny thing that I play with.
That's right. Jeremy, favorite guitar player, or did you mention that?
I mean, my all-time I would have to say is Slash. That's why I started playing guitar. Grew up, loved Guns N' Roses, still love Slash. Slash probably still my favorite guitar player. I've seen Guns N' Roses and I've seen him a few times, and he's always he's 60 years old or whatever he is, and he still plays a 3-hour set just going crazy the whole time. So it's pretty impressive.
He got mad at me after our show that we did. Yeah, because I wouldn't have a drink with him, and he thought I was like, no, I'm not gonna have a drink with you. I just don't drink. So and then
I don't think he drinks anymore either. I think he finally.
Me neither.
Yeah, but this is back in the late '90s, so he was still.
Oh yeah, he was definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, he was pissed off. He was like, "What am I? What, you too good to drink with me?" It's like, shit, no. I just, and then something everybody else that works on my team said, no, he just doesn't drink. He's not alcoholic or anything like that. He just doesn't drink. I never liked the taste of it, and so, but he drew me some art. I still got some art that he drew me. All right, let's go with Jose, bass player.
So I've got a couple of Fender P basses. They're both like Steve Harris from Iron Maiden models. He's one of my biggest influences, the band. I was a huge Maiden fan growing up from like, I don't know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade on. And then I guess my favorite, or play like a Harkey head that I really love the sound of. But I guess my favorite bass player who's been a huge influence in my life is probably Fat Mike. I just like his work ethic and the way he plays and everything he's done.
Yeah, Fat Mike has he has a very sharp business mind as well. Very short business mind. So yeah, not only is he he's a great entertainer, but he's also very smart. As far as I know, a lot of those labels are still going on. Fat Records.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is Sympathy for the record industry still kicking around?
I think for
that I don't know.
I wonder. I know that Sub Pop is still kicking around. I think CZ Records is still kicking around. Yeah, there's a lot of small labels still out there. They're still out there, still pushing hard. Okay, who have I not gotten? I don't think I got Sean.
Probably Kevin.
Kevin. Kevin's gonna drop down his equipment and his favorite guitar player.
Oh man, I like to keep my equipment very simple. So I'm on my third guitar head these days. It's an EVH 5150. It's 50 watts, and I love the sound out of it. It's really light, it's simple, and I've been playing out of the same cab for close to 20 years now. It's a Marshall 2x12. Everything fits in the car very well, so it's nice. Guitar wise, I still have a 1993 Fender Prodigy. It was the first guitar I got. Actually, I got it from my brother. It's the first guitar I learned how to play guitar on. That's my main guitar that I love. I fix it up. It never goes out of tune. But as far as most of the shows, I play with my LTD ESP EC1000 guitar. It looks like a Les Paul. Feels like it. Plays like it. And it's just a beautiful guitar. And that's kind of more for show, if you will. And I'm going to go outside the box on my favorite guitar player. I'm going to say probably my dad and my brother, because those are my biggest influences. And it's because of them that I've gotten into music and writing music and all that. So.
All right, man. You can't get much more.
I'm about to lose it here. I'm so sorry.
Okay, man.
All right. I am looking at our time, and it looks like we have hit our mark. I definitely love to thank you guys, Carry the 9, for rolling in here and delivering a kick-ass show. I expected no less from you guys once you mentioned No Use for a Name. I knew we were going to have an awesome show. Yeah, there's so many bands. I'm sure if we start tossing band names around, we would know half of them. We would know somebody in half of them.
Yeah.
But where are you guys playing next? What's the next show? The big one at the boat.
I think our next show.
February.
Yeah, February. We're not because we're not playing anymore the rest of this year, and then we're getting ready to record. So we didn't want any distractions. So I think our first show is like February 15th in Ventura.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we're trying to do and then we have another one the Friday after in Santa Barbara. And then we're trying to do one that's the next night somewhere, TBD. And then March 1st in Morro Bay. So no tours, but little weekend warrior things we're doing.
Yeah.
And then we're still trying to line up more for next year too.
We have all their information for Carry the 9 down below. They have a massive Linktree that I put down there. You can go ahead and hit that, and also please visit their Instagram page as well. And they have their website. They can get the music, all the streaming services. And hopefully you guys will come back once the new EP is done. Bring that up, and
yeah, be right.
Yeah, we'll have you play a song or maybe a song, off the new EP, and that'll be fun to listen to. And
yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in here for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I really did. I really had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm so glad you guys came out and hung out. Our good friend Steve is dropping out your YouTube channel, and we'll give them a prod or two about that as far as that goes. That's
we'll work on that.
Fans are like. I want to thank the audience for coming out, Mika and Kira and Steve and Lucas Boy, Mr. Dan, Betty Jane, Betty Jean. I'll call you Betty Jean. All our friends, yes. Our listeners, they love music. Nice. We'll be back tomorrow night with, speaking of music, we'll be back tomorrow night with singer-songwriter Jenna. That will be Jenna Clark, I believe. Did I get it right? I probably messed it up. I'm always terrible. No, I actually got it right. I didn't kill any. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't kill anybody's names, but it's still early yet in the week. So we'll be back here tomorrow night with Jenna Clark at 8:00, and then Thursday at 8:00 we'll be welcoming in a social leopard along with our good friend Snow Leopard. Beth and Bia will be here Thursday, and Alicia will be joining me up here on Thursday night, and we'll have another fun night here on 8 Questions With. Hey Kevin, how are you? Glad you're here. All right, stay right where you guys at, right for a couple more minutes, and to our chat. Thank you for coming out, and we will see you tomorrow night at 8:00. Jenna Clark will be sitting right here.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's so cute.